Hello everyone, welcome to Council India Present, the talk show. In this particular talk show, we invite one of the guests who is doing amazing work in psychology field. And the purpose of this talk show is to make you aware with the psychology, with the basic things, with your mental health, with your emotional well-being. Let's get started and let's welcome the guest of the day, Dr. Rajini Rajgopala. Dr. Rajni, welcome.
Hello,
Yeah,
thank you, Mr. Bobby. Yeah,
yeah,
thanks a lot. It's nice to be here on the show.
great. Ranjini
Uh,
ji, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, thank you, Ji.
Great, great. So
Yeah,
let's get started. So before I ask you some questions, we want to know your journey because there are very few people who are working in this industry, and this industry need more and more people who can serve in this industry. So we want to know your story. What is your story? Quickly, we just want to know that, Ranjini ji.
Sure. I am a Bangalorean. I'm from Karnataka. I started my journey. I'm a Tamilian who settled in Bangalore, and I started my journey of psychology from Christ. Because when I was doing my 11th, 12th, we had an amazing set of lecturers there. The faculty was so good, and the college by itself was great. So I got interested in the subject, and I took it up, and I did my masters from Christ, and then on I got married. That my journey began immediately after my masters. I got married and I entered a very I think amazing organization, the best organization our country has, and that's the Indian Army. I got married to an army officer, and that is when my avenues opened. I realized the kind of welfare work the army does, so I got exposed to a lot of things which I could do with my subject as a base as psychology, because that is one organization where I think for time in memoriam your mental health has always been a priority, which is now gaining importance in the civil world. So thanks to the organization, and my subject helped me. So then I kind of equipped myself. I did my MPhil during my tenure as a school counselor. I started my journey as like a profile of a job as such. I started as school counselors because that is when slowly the concept of school counseling emerged. I'm talking about 20 years back. This is literally, in literal sense, exactly 20 years back. The concept was coming up because the CBSE started insisting on the mental health of the students, and so we started my journey started there. I started teaching psychology in way through, and the advantage of being married to an army officer, I moved around the entire country, so I've seen half the country. Every two years I've been moving, so I got exposed to various roles in psychology, various kind of people, the kind of set of the background in which people were coming from, so I got a better understanding, and that is when I got enrolled to PhD. I also did my PhD during this time, and I became a mother. I think that taught me, gave me practical knowledge of whatever I had studied. Through my years, I could experiment. I had a guinea pig of my own, so I did that, and now she's also turning 18, and that's how my journey began. But something which was very close to my heart started where, about 6 7 years back, when I started concentrating with special needs, children with special needs, the parents of special needs, so that is a bigger interest right now. And I also work with building, or rather empowering students and children with life skills, so that skill is required when you go ahead and take on the life world ahead. So that's how it's been like, say, variety of roles, and great exposure and a great journey.
Wow, wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. What a fantastic journey. What a fantastic story you have.
Thank
Definitely,
you.
in this long journey, you have served a lot of people, and we are very, very grateful. So, as you said, that you have worked, you have served Indian Army also,
Yeah.
uh, you have taken up some counseling sessions, so many things you have done with them.
Yeah.
So, I want to know, इंडियन आर्मी में भी मेंटल हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं? अगर हैं तो वो किस लेवल की? We just want to know, like, how
No,
Indian
no.
Army is maintaining the mental health.
Yeah. I mean, I would, I mean, if I want to say, I think it was one of the few organizations which understood that mental health was equally important to physical health. So that is why, right from, like, say, so many years, we've been having a lot of sessions with the families, every year, every month we meet, all of us meet, there's like a meet and greet kind of a thing where we all meet. We kind of, like what nowadays, it's called freaking out, or the term which is given, among the youngsters. We've been doing that for years now. And now we all meet, we have, small things to celebrate, even, like, say, there's a common celebration of birthdays. There's so many things where we understand that the environment at home, is good. It's easier for the men to go outside and work. It's a concept which has been there for quite some time. It is a bunch of ladies, empowered ladies. We empower each other, so we are always there for them, and they are there for us. It's like a group. It's like a, जब सारे साथ में होते हैं, खुशी खुशी टाइम स्पेंड करते हो, तो you are busy. You don't need another person to influence your happiness. So that is when it creates an environment which is very good, conducive for the children as well. It's quite possible, like say a very small example of husband wife having a fight. We are all leaving, especially even our living areas are such that we are all outside together, chit chatting. I think that's the best thing about the army is we that's our first family. In
Right.
fact, for most of us, that is the only family we have. And it's like even at 12 in the night, I can just knock the door of my neighbor, drop my child, and say, listen, I have to go somewhere. So that kind of a comfort is there, and that comes with the very fact that we've placed a lot of importance to the personality and the mental health and the happiness of the families and everyone in the setup. And mental health issue is not ever, concentrated to one set of people. We all have it. Each one of us have it. It's just that the kind of situations we face, the kind of issues we have is different. The degree of issues we have is different, and the knowledge which we have is different. So that is where it is. It is not restricted to one person or one set of people.
Right.
Everyone, each one of us is susceptible. We are all, part of getting anything. कुछ ना कुछ सबको है ना? बट
Right.
वो
Right.
कैसे हम उसको देखते हैं, उस चीज में फर्क पड़
Hmm.
जाता है.
Right. True. True. Very true. Dr. Ranjini, actually, Indian Army, I'm very happy to know this, that awareness is there, awareness is more even there.
Yes,
And
yes,
it is good that, in Army, the families are outside from their, wherever they were born, right? वो बाहर हैं और वहां पर एक अच्छा एटमॉस्फेयर क्रिएट करना फॉर इमोशनल वेलबीइंग वो बहुत जरूरी है, राइट? तो इट्स गुड टू नो दैट इंडियन आर्मी में काफी अवेयरनेस है मेंटल हेल्थ को लेके, और वो कुछ ना कुछ इससे रिलेटेड काम करते रहते हैं। दो ये कोई डेजिग्नेशन देखकर मेंटल हेल्थ नहीं आती है, या फिर कोई डेजिग्नेशन देखकर कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं आती है, ये सबको हो सकती है, बट हाउ वी आर टेकिंग केयर ऑफ आवर सेल्फ मैटर्स अ लॉट।
exactly,
Right, very true. So you also said that you have worked with schools a lot of time.
yes,
तो एज ए
yes,
स्कूल काउंसलर, जब कॉन्सेप्ट बहुत ज्यादा अवेलेबल नहीं था, बहुत ज्यादा विजिबल नहीं
yes,
था स्कूल काउंसलर
yes.
का, फ्रॉम देयर यू
Very,
हैव बीन डूइंग दिस, या
very
तो
true.
मैं जानना
Very.
चाहता हूँ कि स्कूल काउंसलिंग पहले के टाइम में और अब के टाइम में, इस पीरियड में,
Yes.
8 से 10 10 से 15 साल के पीरियड में, इज देयर एनी डिफरेंस नाउ? If yes, what is that, please?
See, there's a very, very, very huge difference, and I'm happy that we are moving towards जो जिस पर्पस के लिए उस चीज को शुरू किया गया था, उसके तरफ हम बढ़ रहे हैं, लेकिन धीरे धीरे छोटे छोटे कदम रख के ही बढ़ रहे हैं. क्योंकि मुझे याद है अभी 10-20 साल पहले या 15 साल पहले जितने भी स्कूल्स में मैंने काम किया था, आई वॉज अ एक्स्ट्रा टीचर. ओके,
Hmm.
अरेंजमेंट टीचर या
Hmm.
लीव टीचर. तो
Hmm.
हमें बोला जाता था कि मैम ये टीचर छुट्टी पे हैं, आप इनके क्लास में जाओगे. ठीक है. So, but
Hmm.
now things are slowly changing. Like say, मैं अगर मेरे खुद की बात करूं, maybe after 3 schools, I've worked in more than 8 to 9 schools, and they're all outside schools. I've not worked in an army school. I've mostly worked outside. तो जब
Hmm.
मैंने स्टार्टिंग मैंने आर्मी स्कूल से ही किया था, बट उसके बाद आई गॉट एक्सपोज आउटसाइड, तो मैंने बाहर भी काम किया है, तो हर स्कूल में.
Hmm.
तो नाउ एज अ पर्सन, एज अ ग्रोन पर्सन, और लाइक से एज एक्सपोजर स्टार्टेड, मैंने खुद आई स्टार्टेड टेलिंग देम, आई स्टार्टेड पुटिंग माई फुट डाउन. आई सर आई एम नॉट एन अरेंजमेंट टीचर, आई एम अ साइकोलॉजिस्ट. I have
Hmm.
a set of roles. I have, this is my role. And if I go as a teacher, my children will not open up to me. They will look at me as a teacher. The minute they look at me as a teacher, the purpose of having a psychologist is lost.
Hmm.
क्योंकि
Right. Hmm.
साइकोलॉजिस्ट है या काउंसलर है, उसका जो रैपो बच्चों के साथ होता है ना, वो बहुत बहुत अलग होता है. उसको ये चीज बच्चों को बाहर आके इनफैक्ट हमसे बात करने के लिए वी नीड टू हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ एनवायरमेंट विच आई क्रिएट टू द चिल्ड्रन, कि उनको लगे कि हाँ भाई प्रॉब्लम तो है, प्रॉब्लम में अगर इनको बोलूं प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो रहा है, लेकिन जिनके साथ मेरा प्रॉब्लम है उनको तो पता नहीं चल रहा है ना, लेकिन प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो रहा है. सी
Hmm.
ये सबसे बड़ा जो दिस इज लाइक अ बिगेस्ट चेंज आई हैव सीन इज people have started understanding the role of a psychologist, and the role does not end with students. That's the best part. The role is starts with the students, but the main aim or the target is your teachers, your most importantly the parents. I
Hmm.
always tell there is no problem child.
Hmm.
The point is there is a problem parenting, not the
Hmm.
parents.
True.
Let me use the right word, and people should get the right word. It is problem in
Parenting.
parenting. It is not, the child is not a problem, nor is the teacher the problem. So there is a problem in teaching style, and there is a
Hmm.
problem in the parenting style. So if we attack the
Hmm.
style the way it has to
Hmm.
be, we will never have a problem child, or at least the problem in the child will reduce.
Very
So
nice.
this
Very true.
has
Hmm.
been like it's like a क्या बोलते हैं,
Hmm.
एवरी डे इज लर्निंग व्हेन यू आर पेरेंटिंग
Hmm.
और व्हेन यू आर काउंसलिंग और हैंडलिंग स्टूडेंट्स. हर चीज
Hmm.
बदलता है, हाँ. Yes, and the biggest change which I've seen is we have started including special educators also, so they also help. So
Hmm.
that is like the biggest change जो मैं स्कूल काउंसलिंग में देख रही हूँ आजकल एटलीस्ट. बट सेड ऑल
Hmm.
दिस गिवन, अभी भी मुझे लगता है बहुत सारे काउंसलर्स जो स्कूल में हैं वो अभी भी मेरे साथ दे विल अग्री कि 80% ऑफ द स्कूल्स दे स्टिल treat a counselor or a psychologist as an extra teacher. So that has
Yeah.
to stop.
Right. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things has been changed, and
Yeah.
definitely there is still scope of improving things.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Very nice. And I want to know कि we have been interacting with a lot of people. You have been counseling various students and other people.
Yeah.
Do you remember any case that you would like to disclose with us, जिसमें आपने किसी प्रॉब्लम को आइडेंटिफाई किया और उसको सॉल्व किया?
See, there is this one very वो नहीं होता है लाइफ चेंजिंग केसेस, यू गेट टू विच गिव्स यू गूजबम्प. एंड आई एम स्टिल स्कैर्ड व्हेन आई टॉक अबाउट इट. आई एम लाइक ओके व्हाट
Hmm.
इफ आई हैडंट वाला जो
Hmm.
सिचुएशन है. व्हेन आई वाज इन वन ऑफ द स्कूल्स इन देहरादून, आई वाज the counselor there. There was this one very normalish child, normal. What I mean by normal is there are many children who always get into trouble, है ना, वो तो हिट लिस्ट पे
Hmm.
रहते हैं. एंड देयर इज वन सेट ऑफ चिल्ड्रन हु आर
Hmm.
सो गुड दैट टीचर्स आर ऑलवेज गागा अबाउट देम, भाई ये बच्चा तो कुछ भी गलत कर ही नहीं सकता है. एंड देयर यू हैव
Hmm.
द नॉर्मल सेट ऑफ चिल्ड्रन जो हम सब हैं, नॉर्मल बच्चे.
Hmm.
तो
Hmm.
हर
Hmm.
क्लास में 80% के बच्चे होते हैं. So there was this
Hmm.
one child, and मैं for the past I think 4-5 days or 3-4 days I was noticing this child was constantly going home early because the staff room was right next to the principal's office. I used to always
Hmm.
see him there. I said, "क्या हो रहा है, ma'am? I'm not well. I'm going home." So, and that one, I think after 2 weeks or something, that one particular day, I don't know, something I saw a drastic change in his behavior, and he was again waiting to go back home, and he was very desperate to go back home. I caught him. I said, what are you doing? I said, he said, "Nahi, ma'am, I'm going home." And then he was, you could make out faces red and there's like tears. There's like one layer. You just, if he had established eye contact, he would start crying, that kind of a thing. So I don't know. I held him. I said, I knew something was wrong. This is not, the child was not being himself. Something is troubling him and he's trying to avoid letting his somehow. So I took him to the office, counseling office, and then I started speaking. That is when नहीं होता है shock of your life. This
Hmm.
child on that particular day had actually planned to go home early so that he could commit suicide. He
Oh.
had made all the arrangements. He had
Hmm.
seen a date where, because his father was not with him, they were working. His
Hmm.
father was working elsewhere. Mother was there. Mother had
Hmm.
gone for a wedding. But it is not
Hmm.
a one day decision. This child,
Hmm. Hmm.
that is, learning jo hota hai. It was not a one day decision. That is when I said I recollected that for the past 1 week this child was going home early for no
Hmm.
reason. Matlab, he was telling stomach ache, fever, and jo bhi.
Hmm.
Then then I finally, okay, I consoled him and got to know that he was planning something. And
Hmm.
I called over the parents. I called the mother. I started speaking. And of course, we had a group session. You will
Hmm.
not believe what triggered the child. For the
Hmm.
past 2, 3 weeks, this child has been getting scolded from school, from friends. Tu nalayak hai. It's a very normal word. Tu to nalayak hai.
Hmm.
Really, you're a useless chap.
Hmm.
एवरीवन एंड इट सो हैपेंड दैट 2-3 हफ्ते से कोई ना कोई बोल रहा है, टीचर कभी बोल रहा है, फ्रेंड्स कभी बोल रहे हैं, उसने गोल छोड़
Hmm.
दिया तो दोस्त ने बोल दिया, बेस्ट फ्रेंड ने बोल दिया. द टिप ऑफ वॉज व्हेन हिज ओन मदर
Hmm.
इन अ वेरी नॉर्मल टोन a day before had told तू तो नालायक है.
Hmm.
That was the, वो नहीं होता है breakup. He said okay, now then,
Hmm.
if I'm so useless, I don't
Hmm.
think I should. And can you imagine, he's from class 9th.
Oh my God.
He was not angry, he
Oh.
was
Yeah.
upset with himself. And a very
Hmm.
small word. See, for us, we
Hmm.
like, yeah, isme kya hai? What is there in it? Maybe my
Hmm.
generation was made different. Maybe generation after me, it was okay. But this
Hmm.
one small word, and then he said, "Ma'am,
Hmm.
my मम्मा ने खुद बोल दिया मैम, मेरे मम्मी ने
Hmm.
खुद बोल दिया कि मैं नालायक हूँ, बाकी सबने
Hmm.
बोला ठीक है मैम."
Hmm.
you know that is when
Right.
I realized ki, my god, we need to
Hmm.
be so careful. That is when we
Right.
always tell our teachers or everyone, please be careful of
Hmm.
the words you use with your children, because you don't know in what mood they are in that particular time.
Right. Right.
Okay,
And children
and
are.
in,
Hmm.
yes,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, you were telling me
Yeah, children
something.
are, they are learning. They are, because their whole mind is now in the learning phase. They are
Yes,
understanding the world around. So
yes,
whatever input they are getting
yes.
is very, very important. We should be careful, right? Right. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
yes, and then they're
Hmm.
developing their identity, right? They are also
Hmm.
struggling. They are in their adolescence.
Hmm.
A 13,
Hmm.
14, 15-year child is
Hmm.
struggling to understand their own physical changes, their own mental changes. They don't know why they are getting angry suddenly. It is all hormonal,
Hmm.
right? And uske
Right.
usme, instead of but there's one thing which I always tell, when I address my parents, because whenever I'm in a school, I always address parents of each class. I take time to address. I always tell, please remember, for a teacher, your child is one among the 40 or one among the 50 in the class, but for you, it is your only child or just two of them. So it is very stupid to tell, "मैम आप क्लास में क्या करते हो बेटा?" It's very easy for a teacher. मैं टीचर होती, मैं पीछे मुड़ के देखती, "मैम आप घर में क्या करते हो?" So it's not about blame
Hmm.
game. It is
Hmm.
about paying attention to small details of your own child
Right.
and your own children, or
Hmm.
it is very important. So this
Right.
is one of the things which actually shook me. And then I
Hmm.
always tell, whenever I address, when I have a lecture, I always tell, please,
Hmm.
you may be angry, you tell, you shout. See, I'm not saying we are, Buddha, Gautam Buddha hai nahi, gussa aa raha hai, dato. But then when the mood changes, sit down and talk to your child. You need to talk.
Hmm.
The most important thing is talking to them and tell them, see, yes, I will get angry. Please make it clear to the
Right.
child. What
Hmm.
you did was wrong. I will get angry. You are not a bad person. The behavior was
Hmm.
a bad behavior. So there is a big difference.
Right.
That's why I
Right.
said there is no bad parent or bad teacher. There's a bad
Right.
teaching and there's a bad parenting. So the
True.
act was bad. The person is never
Mm.
bad. So
Right.
these are the things we have to keep reinstilling and talking to the child and develop
Mm.
that communication. No, keep it two way. It can't be one way.
Right. Right. Very
So
true. Very
that
true, ma'am.
that yeah.
Yeah.
So
This
these are
case
certain
is
cases
really,
which
yeah.
yeah, which opens up your
Yeah.
eyes,
Yeah. It's eye
and
opening, ma'am. Yes, it's eye opening.
yeah, even
Thank you for
even if
sharing this. Yeah.
you will find, sir, you will, when you're, your friend, when the
Mm.
behavior changes. That's very
Mm.
important to catch on. There may,
Mm.
there are many times like, "Arey yaar, kal tak to he was absolutely fine, and today this person is no more. He committed suicide. How can he do it?" We
Mm.
don't observe. There's quite possible,
Mm.
we say they become silent. Not necessary. A person
Mm.
who is silent starts
Mm.
speaking much more.
Mm.
That is also a change in behavior.
Right. Right.
बट वी डोंट पे
Right.
अटेंशन टू इट. जो
Right.
बिल्कुल सीधा साधा है, बिल्कुल बात नहीं करता है, वो बहुत ज्यादा बात करने लग जाता है, सबसे कॉल करके बात करता है, अपने प्राइस
Mm.
पोजेशंस दे देने लगता है, यू नो
Mm.
से फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई हैव
Right.
समथिंग विच किसी से शेयर नहीं करता, बट मैं बोल दूंगी हाँ, अगर भाई आके हाँ ठीक है तू ले ले, देर इज अ चेंज दैट शुड रिंग अ बेल, कि भाई
Mm.
ऐसे
Right.
क्या हो गया, सडनली क्यों दे रहा
Mm.
है. So
Mm.
because this person has already thought, okay, I will anywhere be going, what is the use of all these things? So
Mm.
वो रिंग जो है ना, अलार्म बजनी चाहिए. So
Right.
उसके लिए हमें क्या करना है सर? बेसिक,
Mm.
गिव टाइम टू ईच अदर
Right.
एंड नॉट टू द वन विच इज देयर इन आवर हैंड्स. सो
Right. Right.
नहीं
And
बोलते लुक बियॉन्ड योर
mm.
पाम. सो दैट इज व्हाट इज
Mm.
रिक्वायर्ड नाउ.
True, true, very true. And it will be giving time to each other, and time is means quality time. You are there with them, right?
Yeah.
Not just you are sitting there and your mind is somewhere. You are on your phone all the time. When you are
Yes.
giving time, give just time,
Yes.
and then only we'll be able to understand or analyze those signs that can
True.
be life saving for people.
वेरी ट्रू सर, वेरी ट्रू. इवन मैं तभी इसलिए
Hmm.
बोलती हूँ, सम वेरी स्मॉल थिंग, आप जब रोड में भी जा रहे हो, जस्ट स्माइल एट समवन रैंडमली.
Hmm.
लाइक मैम, माय किड्स आस्क, मैम इससे क्या होगा मैम, दे थिंक आई एम क्रेजी. दे से नो, you smile, someone smiles back at you, say for a
Yes.
fraction of a second, that person has
Hmm.
forgotten all the problem the person had and is smiling
Hmm.
back at you. You've
Yeah.
changed something. You don't realize what you've changed, but you've changed something great. So
Right.
yeah, these,
Very true. Very. Thank you for
that,
sharing this. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Now, my next question from you is, what are the common issues nowadays? What do you think? What are the common issues that are coming up related to
I think
mental
the
health?
most important thing when it comes to mental health is, I think, first of all, I always
Hmm.
feel we are overusing certain terminologies of psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Is and I think we need to understand our mind is super suggestive. है ना? The
Mm-hmm.
word depression,
Right.
I
Right.
feel
Mm.
is used for basic sadness. Sadness is an emotion.
Mm.
Sadness, being sad, is different from being depressed.
Right.
So I
Mm.
really feel we should stop overusing these words. And मैं नहीं बोलती हूँ इतना ज्यादा अंग्रेजी जानने की जरूरत नहीं है, बोलो मैं दुखी
Mm.
हूँ, मैं
Mm.
डिप्रेस्ड हूँ बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है. बहुत
Mm.
फर्क है दुखी होने में. दुखी होना बहुत नॉर्मल है.
Mm.
सी,
Right.
आई गिव यू एन एग्जाम्पल. अगर आपका मोबाइल नीचे गिर जाता है, तुम दुखी होते हो, इट
Mm.
इज वेरी नॉर्मल.
Right.
बट हम टर्म क्या यूज करते हैं? शिट यार, आई एम वेरी डिप्रेस्ड. वाई माई फोन ब्रोक.
Mm.
इट्स ओके.
Mm.
जब कोई पॉजेस चीज नीचे गिरता है, टूटता है, गुम हो जाता है, दुखी होना बहुत नॉर्मल है. और जैसे हम दुखी है वो बोलते रहेंगे ना, इट्स इजी
Mm.
टू कम आउट ऑफ इट, स्नैप आउट ऑफ इट.
Mm.
The more you are self suggesting, oh, I am so depressed, I don't feel like doing anything, you are suggesting your mind ki please don't do anything.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And let me tell you,
Right.
our mind is so, it's intelligent, but at the same time, it's very dumb. ठीक है, बहुत बुद्धू है आप. अरे यार, उठने का मन ही नहीं करता है, तो ऑब्वियसली नहीं उठोगे. मजा तो आ रहा है, सब कुछ बेड पे मिल रहा है, कौन नहीं मजा
Mm.
करना चाहता है?
Right.
राइट. दैट इज वन थिंग विच आई फील इज वी आर ओवर यूजिंग सर्टन टर्मिनोलॉजीज.
Mm.
एंड
Right.
दूसरा इज the very basic is we don't have anyone to communicate heart of heart where no one is judging you. Being yourself, you're not able to be yourself in most of the situation. I think that is a
Hmm.
very 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 big problem because जब आप अपने आप से connected नहीं हो पा रहे हो तो फिर you will not be able to be happy in life at all. Because
Right,
everywhere I am projecting one part or one type of me outside to the world, which is not right. I have to be me,
right.
And
Hmm.
unfortunately, with the kind of environment, the kind of pressure which is happening at home also we could kind of put a lot of pressure on each other, no? कि oh you should behave in such a way,
Hmm. Right,
you know इतना ही ऐसा ही रहना है, you have to be successful, not necessary or not all of us can be successful. And again, the question comes, what is the concept of success to you may be different from what is the concept of success to someone else.
right, right.
Okay, so the basic lack of communication is, I think, one of the biggest, I think, triggers of very bad mental health among all of us.
Hmm.
Right? We're not able to communicate with each other other than the mobile phones. It is very
Hmm.
sad that from one room to the other we message each other. How many of us have not
Right,
done it? There are many a times we do it, which is
right.
very bad, which is very very bad. So I think this is one thing. And of course, with now being associated with children with special needs, I think the incidence of a lot of ASD, autistic spectrum is increasing. And though the so-called educated parents are not accepting, so the minute, I think the concept of accepting something is important, because when you accept it, you have an early intervention, and then things will become normal. So I think this
Right.
is one thing which we are facing.
Okay.
And of course, I think overuse of the term therapies, which has become fashionable.
Hmm.
It's very 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 sad to see that therapy, so-called traditional therapy को छोड़ के now most of the other things are gaining importance as therapy. They call tarot
Right.
reading as a therapy. Maybe I'm an old school psychologist because I've done my entire studies from psychology. I think many of us who are in this field and who spent 8 9 years studying the subject thoroughly, I don't know, I fail to still understand, how can reading a tarot or knowing your future is called a therapy. I don't think it should be called as a psychological therapy. So these are the
Right.
new problems which are coming up. And yeah, I think
Yeah.
the more you talk to each other, a lot of things gets resolved, and that
Hmm.
would solve a lot of issues for us in life.
Right, right. So
Yeah,
overusing the terminologies like depression, not be yourself, and lack of
yeah,
communication, lack of acceptance, and overuse the word of therapy. These are
and
common
yes,
problems you see.
yes,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
having the non-judgmental friends, I think that's very important.
Hmm.
Please have good
Yes.
friends who are non-judgmental,
Yes.
who
Yes.
accept you for the way you are. Well,
Right.
you
Right.
have all these memes which comes, na? Finding
Hmm.
friends with your same mental issue is very important. I think I agree to it. You're all crazy, you're crazy. You can, if you can laugh at small things, that's like the biggest thing. So we need
Right.
to
Right.
start enjoying and appreciating small things in life. Yeah.
Very nice. Very true. Great. So great for sharing this. Dr. Nandini, I want to know now any challenging case you have handled that was very difficult for you initially, and then
Yeah.
you tackled that case. Any very difficult
Yeah.
case that you remember till
Yeah,
now?
yeah. I do. This is something which most of us face. I mean, most of us, I wouldn't say, most of them
Hmm.
face in the world. Because I was mostly into schools and other things. There's this one case which I had, which was very difficult for me also initially, because I did not know how to handle it. In the sense, uh, uh, I was like, how do I approach this? Because it was a very sensitive case. I had this one child who was referred to me by the class teacher. I was in an all girls school in one of the places in the North India. This
Hmm.
child had a lot of issues class में मैम. हमेशा ऐसे ही चिल्ड्रन रेफर होते थे पहले, प्रॉब्लम चाइल्ड जैसे मैंने बोला. I started talking. It took time. It took almost a month for the child to open up. And that is
mm,
when I realized this child was getting
mm.
harassed by her own uncle,
Oh.
because
Mm-hmm.
they were living in an extended family kind of an environment.
Mm,
And the worst was why the child started sulking. Of course, harassment was happening continuously. Is
mm,
the parents never believed the child. The
mm,
one place where the child was supposed to feel confident and safe,
mm,
they kept
mm,
denying. So,
mm,
and when I got to know this, I got to know through a lot of other, techniques,
mm,
yeah, jo bhi protection tests, that this was
mm,
a problem area, and that is when I started brooding into it. And when
mm,
the child started opening up and telling me, it was very, very, very disturbed. All these
mm,
days I had heard about it much, and I've seen, my friends discussing these kind of cases. That was the first for me because I was quite young in my service then. And that is when I called the parents and breaking it to the, or rather getting the parents' view on it first, I thought was more important. So that took a lot of time. And I had to tell. That is when I kind of understood that this particular person who was troubling the child was a person who was providing for this family. And this
mm,
child was not an old child. Let me tell you the
mm.
sad reality of our country. The child was in class 2.
Oh my God.
And she was, continuously telling, and the mother, said she's actually told it to the mother, but the father wasn't aware. So, but the father, when on नहीं होते retrospecting, he said, "Ma'am, now
Mm,
I understand why my child would say नहीं मैं मामा जी के साथ स्कूल में नहीं जाऊंगी, आप छोड़ोगे तो मैं स्कूल जाऊंगी." एंड मुझे हमेशा लगता था कि वो डांटते हैं इसीलिए वो नहीं जा रही है. एंड
mm,
अगर हम कहीं जा रहे हैं, शी वुड से आई विल कम विद यू इन योर व्हीकल, आई विल नॉट गो इन द अदर व्हीकल.
mm,
It took a lot of time for the father to understand, the mother to accept that acha okay, matlab it was true what the child was true. She said, "Ma'am, how can my child say she's just lying?"
mm,
I had to make, I think I always tell and I give lectures and I speak about it now, like, after that I started addressing the so called good touch, bad touch to the
mm,
parents. When a child is coming and telling you, please understand, or whether it is a child, a girl, a woman, if the person is
mm.
coming and telling you or talking about this to you, please remember the person has gone through 1,000 wars before they come and verbalize it to you,
Right,
because of
right.
our
Very true.
society. Please, the first thing or the least thing is, please do not deny or negate it. That's the worst
Right,
thing you can do to that person.
right,
At least listen. That's my first thing. Maybe
right.
when you listen, you understand, things will get clear. Like how it did for the father of the child. He
Mm,
started understanding कि अच्छा मैम अब मुझे समझ में आ रहा है. वो नहीं
mm,
होता है ऑलवेज टेल, दिमाग की बत्ती ना मेंटोस खाते जैसे बचता है, यू स्टार्ट
mm,
रियलाइजिंग.
mm.
है ना, वो हम
Right.
साइकोलॉजी में बोलते हैं आहा एक्सपीरियंस, इनसाइट.
Mm,
So this was a very, very tough thing for me mentally, basically because I also have a girl child, you know.
mm,
So it took
mm,
time. I had to first kind of, come out of the shock initially,
mm,
and then handle. And then handling parents was like a bigger task for me than getting the child out of the trauma, because that is a bigger that's like the most important aspect.
mm,
I get the child out of the trauma, but the child has to go
mm,
back to the same environment. It is not helping.
mm.
So, changing the environment of the house was also important. So, that was,
Right.
I think, by far one has been one of my most challenging one.
Mm.
And I'm happy that they're good, they're happy now. So, the child
Very
learned
nice.
to stand up for herself. I think that was like the biggest thing. The child stood up and told the mother. So, we need to appreciate such behavior and listen to
Very
them.
nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this. Now,
Thank you.
Dr. Ranjini, I want to know, like many times, child are not able to speak up also,
Yes.
right? So, what are the
Yeah.
symptoms, being a parent or being an
Yeah.
outsider? What are the symptoms that can be seen in such
Yeah.
kind of problems?
Yeah, especially when it comes to this, let me tell you some
Mm,
very, very basic thing.
mm,
Say a child, when we talk of harassment, you've always noticed that most of the time the person is known to the victim, right?
mm,
So
mm,
what
mm,
happens is there is a sudden change. Say, for example, I'll give you many small, small examples. Say child is happily going to school. Suddenly the child will tell, no, मुझे आज स्कूल नहीं जाना है. मुझे ऑटो में
mm,
स्कूल नहीं जाना है. So
mm,
small small phrases, the child goes to play with some bhaiyas and suddenly the
mm,
child will say मुझे आज ये गेम नहीं खेलना है, मुझे वो गेम खेलना है, in 4 5 days in continuous, and the
mm,
child starts sulking. The most important thing is the child starts sulking. उसका जो demeanor है पूरा बदल जाता है because the child has
mm.
been threatened. Most of the
Right.
case the child thing is threatened कि we'll
Mm,
play a game but then you will not tell anyone. So that is why मैंने जब बोला communication, even as you
mm,
start communicating with the child, keep telling there is no secret between you and me. You will not have any secret with anyone outside. So that has to be told to the child कि
right.
कोई भी secret हो
Mm,
मम्मी पापा के और तुम्हारे बीच में there is nothing called as a secret. अगर
mm,
कोई तुम्हें बोल भी रहा है कि ये सीक्रेट है किसी को मत बताना यू कैन कम एंड टेल इट टू द पेरेंट्स right from the beginning. Drill it into the child. You will know
right.
which secret is harmless and which is not. Don't negate. That's why we say listen to them. And ये you will always see invariably जैसे बच्चे छोटे बहुत छोटे बड़े होते जाते they want to come and tell everything to the parents.
Mm,
But at that time, if you're not available physically and mentally, then you lose out. Then there's no point cribbing later. So please
right.
invest time in the beginning stage. You will start realizing that the child sulks, homework grades go down, drastically the marks will go down. You will start getting complaints that the child is not paying attention in class.
Mm,
So all these things, घर में भी child बहुत गुमसुम हो जाता है, एक ही जगह बैठा रहता है. And in open there are times when the children are fondling or playing with their genitals. So these are
mm,
all very important
right.
signs which you should look out for.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing this. So, Dr. Ranjini, what happens when they identify, okay, yes, there is something, there is a problem,
Yeah.
there is some problem. So after
Yes.
identifying what
Yes.
they should do, what is the first step they should do about it?
I think the first thing is tell the child that you are not at fault. It is not your mistake. And someone else
Mm,
is wrong and they are the one who need to be
mm,
they should be paying for their behavior or they should be punished. You are not at all at fault. It is not, because that is something which unfortunately they've been told to think that it is your fault. That is something
mm,
which we need to first thing is fight it out, is tell the child that it is okay, something bad has happened but it is not your fault, but we can come out of it, and
right.
together we are together in this, we are with you and we will come out of it. I think just that confidence, because that is the most important thing which is affected in children like them, is the self confidence. So
Mm,
you need to start building their self confidence, and that's the first thing and the foremost thing you do it, and handle the environment for the child.
right.
So that
Okay.
is the
Well,
most important. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, two great things. Like one, no secret should be there between child and parent, and parent need to tell them that there should
Yeah.
be no secret. There is no secret
Yes.
between us.
Yes.
And another one is, help regaining the children their confidence if they find out
Yes.
something. This is very,
Yes.
very important.
फर्स्ट
Yeah.
थिंग एग्जैक्टली, जैसे कोई बच्चा पहली बार आके बोल रहा है उसको नेगेट बिल्कुल नहीं करना है. प्लीज
Hmm.
पे अटेंशन.
सुनना
वो
है.
ना हजार नहीं 10,000 बार सोच के बच्चा मुंह खोलता है ऐसे चीजों में,
Hmm.
तो
Hmm.
उसको
Hmm.
प्लीज नेगेट मत करना.
Right. Right. Okay. Great. So thank you for sharing this. My next question is, uh, what is the still taboo you think in the society is related to mental health and emotional
I
well-being?
think the very very fact that you have a mental issue is still a taboo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So that is still a taboo. Going to a
Mm.
therapist is is a fashion among, say, I would still say only 5% of our country. And thanks to very clearly, thanks to some of these celebrities who have come in open and accepted that they have issues, this is
Right.
actually opening up, and then you're realizing that anyone and everyone can have mental issues. So
Hmm.
that's a thing. But otherwise, accepting otherwise in our society, it is like based on karma. इसने गलत किया, इसके साथ तो यही होना है. So that's it's
Hmm.
still a, that
Right.
concept is a taboo. कि they don't realize that like fever, you can also have problems in your mental issue.
Right.
So
Right.
I think that is like the biggest thing. That's what I said. मतलब मेंटल
Right.
हेल्थ इशू होना ही टैबू है, तो उसके बारे में मैं
Hmm.
क्या टैबू, अगर हम उस टैबू
Hmm.
को हटाए तो शायद हम छोटे छोटे टैबूज को एड्रेस कर पाए. सो
Hmm.
it's like a blanket issue. And still,
Hmm.
though that's what I said, maybe 5%, topmost 5% of them, they feel therapy is a cool thing to do.
Hmm.
But still,
Hmm.
it's like, that's why I always say, I always request the teachers or the school management to have the counselor room somewhere near the labs, so that let the
Hmm.
children feel free to come.
Hmm.
Even now,
Right.
because then kids feel, this is not right, by everyone is looking at me, they'll know I
Hmm.
have an issue. So I
Hmm.
mean, even now I fight that thing. But yeah, I'm happy that things are changing. There is a lot of difference, let me, that much I can guarantee you. The attitude has
Very
changed
nice.
towards positive. And thanks to
Things are changing.
NEPs and thanks to a lot of
Yeah.
things which the government has come up with, all the
Hmm.
governments, it's good. They are concentrating on mental health. Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for saying this. Now, see, one thing very truly you said, because India is a spiritual country, and many
Yeah.
times we use those spiritual phrases which actually stops us doing the good things many a times. जैसे अभी आपने
Yeah.
शेयर किया कि ये तो कर्मा है, जैसा
Yeah.
कर्म करते हैं वैसे ही फल मिलता है. तो उसकी आड़ में
Exactly.
it is becoming a taboo too, right?
Yeah, yeah. They,
So
they
very
say they
nice.
do not accept the illness because they say that is because as parents you have done something. That's why your child is suffering. So we
Right.
need to come out of it. In fact, very frankly, it is our own culture, our own religion, which gives us a lot of things which strengthens our beliefs and our mental health. We do not want to follow it. Na? We are very selective in choosing things.
Right,
So,
right. Great.
yeah,
Awesome. So we have just come up with the last round, which is rapid fire
yeah.
round. So I'll be asking you some questions,
Okay,
and without any
okay,
thinking, to try to answer whatever comes
okay,
first in your mind. All right. So my first question is, what is the one
okay. Done.
psychology fact that what is the one psychology fact that shocks people every time?
Sorry, what is that one? Psychology?
Psychology fact that shocks people every time.
That you can read the mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Uh,
Can someone be too emotionally intelligent?
yeah, it's quite possible.
Okay. One
Yeah.
emotion people should express more often.
Uh, I think love for everyone in open.
Love for anyone in open. Okay.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
what's more important, mindset or motivation?
Motivation.
Motivation. Can
Yeah.
overthinking ever be useful?
Uh, no. No.
No. Okay. Therapy or
No.
meditation?
Therapy. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
God
much.
bless you.
Thank you.
Keep doing the good work. And thank you for this amazing your answers for this particular talk show. Thank you. Take care.